I had just turned 18. Everyone thought I was young, naive, easy to control. But what my parents didn't know was that the night of my birthday, I quietly moved my entire multi-million-dollar inheritance into a protected trust. The very next morning, they arrived at my house with a moving truck, smiling like they had already won. My mother stepped out first and said something that made my blood run cold. This house belongs to us now. But when they looked up at the porch, their smiles disappeared because someone was already waiting for them. My name is Emma. On my 18th birthday, everyone pretended to be happy for me. My parents threw a party, invited relatives, and even bought me a cake. But I knew the truth. They weren't celebrating me. They were celebrating my inheritance. My grandparents had passed away 2 years earlier. They left me everything, their house, investments, and savings worth millions. But my parents had always believed that money should belong to them. All evening, my mother kept saying things like, "Family shares everything," and my father kept asking when the lawyer would finalize the transfer. They thought the money would come straight to me, and that they could pressure me into giving it to them. What they didn't know was that earlier that same day, I had met my grandparents' lawyer privately, and I made one quiet decision. I transferred everything into a trust. A trust that only I controlled. No one else could touch it, not even my parents. I didn't tell anyone. I just smiled, blew out the candles, and waited. The next morning, I woke up to loud noises outside. Engines, doors slamming, people shouting. When I looked out the window, my heart nearly stopped. A moving truck was parked in the driveway. My parents and my younger brother were standing outside with a moving crew. They looked excited, like they had already won the lottery. My mother walked to the front door and knocked loudly. When I opened it, she pushed past me like she owned the place. "This house belongs to us now," she said with a smug smile. Behind her, movers started walking toward the house. My brother laughed and said, "Pack your stuff, Emma. You're moving out." For a moment, I said nothing. I just stepped aside and let them walk inside. They started pointing at furniture. "Take that couch. Move the dining table. Pack the TV." They were acting like it was already theirs. My father looked at me and said, "You should have listened to us earlier. Now everything will be easier." But then something happened. One of the movers stopped and pointed toward the front porch. Sir, who is that?" Everyone turned, and that's when they saw him. Sitting calmly on the porch was a man in a black suit, holding a folder. My mother frowned. "Who are you?" The man stood up slowly. "My name is Mr. Carter," he said. "I'm Emma's attorney." The entire house went silent. Mr. Carter stepped inside and calmly opened his folder. "I'm afraid there's been a misunderstanding." My father crossed his arms. "What misunderstanding?" The lawyer looked straight at him. "Last night, Emma transferred her entire inheritance into a protected trust." My mother's face turned pale. "That's impossible." "It's already done," the lawyer replied, "which means none of you have any legal claim to her assets, including this house." My brother stopped laughing. The movers slowly put the furniture back down. My father's voice shook. "You're lying." The lawyer calmly handed him a document. "Court-verified documents. You can read them yourself." My father's hands trembled as he read the page. His confident smile disappeared, because it was true. For the first time in my life, my parents looked scared. My mother turned toward me. "You planned this?" I looked her straight in the eyes. "Yes." My father tried one last time. "You're still our daughter. You wouldn't throw us out." I walked to the door and opened it. "Actually," I said calmly, "you already tried to throw me out first." Then I turned to the movers. "You can leave now. The job is canceled." They quickly walked outside. My parents stood there in complete silence. The same house they tried to steal from me
was now the house they had to walk out of. And as they stepped outside, I locked the door behind them.
Turning 18 didn't just give me my inheritance. It gave me something even more important: control. And the moment my parents tried to take everything from me was the exact moment they lost it all. 3 days passed. I thought everything was finally over. The house was quiet again. No shouting, no manipulation. But then, one afternoon, someone knocked on the door. When I opened it, my mother was standing there. Her makeup was ruined. Her eyes were red. For the first time in my life, she didn't look confident. She looked desperate. "Emma, please," she said softly. "We made a mistake." Behind her, my father stood silently next to the car. My younger brother refused to look at me. My mother tried to step inside, but I didn't move. My mother started crying. "You know we didn't mean to hurt you," she said. But before I could respond, Mr. Carter suddenly appeared behind me. He had come to drop off more documents. He looked at my parents and sighed. "You should probably tell her the truth," he said. My father's face turned pale. "What truth?" I asked. And that's when the real story finally came out. 2 years ago, when my grandparents were still alive, my parents had tried to convince them to change the will. They wanted the inheritance transferred directly to them, but my grandparents refused. In fact, that's exactly why they left everything to me instead. They knew my parents only cared about the money. When I heard that, everything suddenly made sense. The pressure, the fake kindness, the sudden birthday party. It was never about family. It was always about the money. My mother reached for my hand. "We're still your parents," she whispered. For a moment, I looked at them. Then I calmly removed her hand. Family doesn't try to steal from each other. I slowly closed the door, and that was the last time I ever saw them. My grandparents didn't just leave me money. They left me freedom. And the moment my parents tried to take everything from me was the moment they lost their daughter forever.